Good morning, Stavros Tousios for M4Markets. Today, going to have a quick look at gold and dollar against yen. We talked about gold's hidden bullish divergence over here in the past video, in the last video, and we are currently see two signals actually kinda coming in. One is from here to here, the other one is from here to here. We are outside the channel though, and that creates a bit of a risk to the downside, because even if we go up, as long as we remain outside this bottom channel, then the market remains bearish, right? The other thing is that we have actually done 5 waves to the downside, and this, the last leg over here, also seems to be a wedge. And when we get wedges at the end of a move like this and after a tipping point, it usually suggests that, well, it's either a case where all of this is a wedge, or maybe this is like just the last part, the wedge, right? In the former case, that means that any pullbacks are suspected to be following, to be giving us further downside, because this particular pattern, let's call it a leading wedge, it's the one that after it corrects, it continues the predominant trend. And since we've actually had a tipping point over here, the predominant trend is now to the downside. That also matches with the idea of, having an actual correction to the upside, which typically tend to be quite, by the way, quite deep in this particular stage. And at this particular, with this particular pattern in mind. That means that we have to pay attention not just to the 50%, and we're not going to go just about the 50. That's the issue. We could go as up as like the 79%. The truth though, being told, we do prefer to stay below the 62 over here, which is around the 1897. This is the longer term stuff, right? But it will be very likely that we return back within this channel at some point, but maybe it's going to be just for a false break. The other thing we got to be looking is, whether we can even go and like move above the 1870 or so, because another leg to the downside would be possible. It's not like, it cannot happen. It can happen, of course. For now, though, okay, and I repeat, there is high likelihood that this is going to be a leading wedge, right? Which is going to create a nice pullback with any sort of moves to the upside, when supported by momentum weakening, not increasing, then most probably going to end up giving us another signal to the downside. Now, when it comes to dollar against the yen and out on the 4-hour, it is important to remind ourselves that we have actually stopped at 23 Fibonacci here once, and this is now the second time. And that is now a double top formation with a momentum exhaustion that, of course, implies that there is going to be further downside. First of all, and a bit easier than gold's case, we look at the 50, 130, 134, and then, of course, below that, the 130.97, which is just a tiny bit higher above that swing, a lower than swing high, sorry. Now, at the same time, and as we go down, we'll have to pay attention to the RSI. If we go oversold, then either we're going to see a move to the upside for a third attempt of a breakout, or just a very simple pullback and further continuation to the downside. Now, the moment we are going to lose the 130, 134, then that is going to increase the chances of going down to 129.80. Okay, and then 129.80 is also important because it's kind of a rejection level at the 61.8 of this leg. So if there is any sort of chance of further continuation to the upside, we will prefer to see it while prices remain above 129.70. I would just even say 130 or so, and the previous very strong activity level. Actually, the strongest activity level as we go down is around 129.87. But yeah, we do also prefer to stay above 130, 130.52 because it's a very strong support level as well. Losing that means that the door to the bottom of this channel will open up, and that would also increase the chances of all of this correction having finished finally, and we continue with the predominant direction of the trend, which is to the downside. Okay, so let's not forget, we have a very important session today with the USDJPY coming out.